What's up, y'all? Welcome back to episode 3 of the WFC show. It's me, Big Slime, aka Jesus. I'm here with Alex and David.
Yo.
Moving on to the first topic. It's the Champions League semifinals, the first leg. I'll start it off. In the PSG versus Arsenal game, I got it 1-1 at the Emirates. David?
I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Arsenal has the edge. So I'm going to give them 2-1 for Arsenal.
Alex?
I want PSG to redeem Real Madrid, so I'm picking PSG 1-2.
Okay. The second game, Barcelona versus Inter at not the Camp Nou, it's the Olympic Stadium or whatever, but Barcelona's home. I got a 2-1, Barcelona winning the first leg over Inter. I think Inter is going to barely squeak a goal in at the end to make it 2-1. Alex is on.
I will not choose Barca, so I'm going to go Inter. I think they'll tie their first game, probably 2-2. And they have no Lewandowski, so I don't know if that's going to play a factor or not.
David?
I feel like Inter are going to have a hard time with Barca's counterattack. I'm going to say Barca 1-0.
Okay. Fair. Do you guys think there's going to be any upsets? I don't know if it's an upset. I do think PSG are the betting favorites, which means the people think they're the favorites. So I think Arsenal could catch them off guard, especially at home. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was a 2-0 or like a 3-1 type of win. David? Any upsets?
Yeah, I think PSG, they are the favorites to win the whole thing. And Arsenal if they're on their A game, they could definitely squeeze in like 2 or 3 goals against them.
My upset is Inter. 2 years ago, they made it to the final against City, so I think they could do it again. So hopefully they make it to the final.
I don't think it's a bad shout. They could definitely. Barcelona's team is young, so they could get caught off guard with inexperience. Makes sense. And Inter is a complete opposite. All of them are old.
And they just played 120 minutes against Madrid, so they could be more fatigued.
Fair. All right. Moving on to our next segment, we have transfer flops. First, we'll start it off with a little bit of self-reflection. I'll go first, set the example. I'm a United fan. And if I had to choose one person we had a couple signings overall this year. Some of them I think are too early to call flops, especially the ones in January. But one person that I could probably call a flop, although I think there's an asterisk on it, I think it's Joshua Zirkzee. We paid $42 million for him, which is not a whole lot, but also not a little. And in 48 games for us, he scored 7 goals and assists, which is not prolific. But that asterisk that I mentioned earlier is that he has not started most games, as Ruben Amorim has given most of those chances to Julian. But I would say it's Joshua Zirkzee for now. Transfer flop. Alex?
I go for Madrid, and we only had 2 signings. It was Mbappe and Endrick, and I'm going to choose Endrick because he's not really a starter, and my problem was if we knew we were signing Mbappe, what was the point of signing Endrick for $48 million? But I don't know. I think he's more like a prospect for the future, but I don't know if we're just going to loan him out a bunch or not. So he's my flop.
Fair. David?
City didn't make much transfers in the summer, but one that did happen was Gundogan. When he came in the summer, we were all like so happy that he came back from Barca. But ever since that Rodri injury happened, you could tell on his age that his legs are giving up. He can't run as much as he used to. He can't play that 6'8" role as much as he used to either. And you could definitely tell on the field.
Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of I'm gonna cut this out. Why the fuck? Why can't I remember his name? Oh my god. Casemiro. Reminds you a little bit of Casemiro, how when he joined the Premier League, you could really tell his age, and that he was struggling to keep up. Moving on, I asked you guys to find one or two other transfers from other teams that you think you would call a flop, or maybe just a struggle. I have two. I'll go with the one that I feel more confident calling it a flop. Pedro Neto, Chelsea signed him for 60 million, and in 40 games he has 6 goals and 7 assists. Now, while that is, I'm trying to do my math real quick, 5 more goals and assists than Xerxes, he has, and in 8 less games. In those 40 games, he's played 500 more minutes than Xerxes. So I feel more confident calling him a flop, especially 60 million compared to 42. My other player, it's a little bit of a stretch. I have Danny Olmo because, again, he cost 60 million. He's missed over 20 games this season with injury, and it's not been like one long stretch. It's like, boom, he's out for 8 games. Boom, he's out for 6 games. Boom, he's out for 5 games. Plus the whole registration fiasco, and his stats aren't super good. It also doesn't help that the player that he probably got brought in to replace is having a really good season and probably pushed him down even more. Well, those are my two. David.
I also had two. One of them was Federico Chiesa from Liverpool. When I heard about the signing, I felt kind of like happy for him because it was something new for him, something fresh, and I thought he was gonna do very well. But he's only played like 3-4 games. It's so bad, injury as well. And I expected way more from Chiesa. I thought like something. It could be like a Mo Salah, not like replacement, but more of like sharing more of the pitch with him. But it hasn't happened yet. And the other one I have is Joao Felix. This man has been through every club, and he just can't find a club for himself. And you can definitely tell he's not as a player he used to be in Atletico.
Yeah, going to the Chiesa thing. Technically, I think he's the second Italian player to ever win the Premier League. The only other one was Mario Balotelli, which is a little weird that there's only been 2 Italians that have won the Premier League.
All right, do I go with my two?
Yeah, let me just check something real quick. Wow, yeah, I thought Jorginho won it with Chelsea, but no, he joined the year after they won it, so he just missed it by a year. Sorry, go Alex.
I got another Chelsea player, but I got Jadon Sancho. Was it because
That's a loan, though.
Chelsea got him? Yeah, but along with an obligation to buy.
But they're not buying him. They're paying $5 million, and he's going back.
It's an obligation to buy for $20 million.
It's not.
Huh? Which is
they're
worth
paying they're paying $5 million for them not to sign him for $25 million.
It's worth $20 million plus $5 million in performance-related add-ons, so it could be $25 million.
Yes, but they've already told United that they're paying the $5 million to not buy him for 20.
What?
Yeah, I know it's stupid. It doesn't make sense, but
that is weird.
And it's also a loan.
That's why I asked on loan.
I mean, I'd count loans too. Raheem Sterling, I think he's a flop, but
fair.
Yeah, I even asked. I was like, "Are loans okay?" And you guys were like, "Yeah."
I'd say so.
All right, but yeah, I mean, I want them to sign him.
My other one is from Spurs. It's Dominic Solanke. He's been hurt a lot, and he hasn't performed as well as he did last season in Bournemouth. I think Spurs as a whole, they haven't been performing well, so it's not all his fault. But yeah, that's my second choice.
Yeah, I was thinking about Solanke, but I don't know. Spurs are a little weird because did you guys know that despite being 16th in the league, they have the second most goals scored? Only Liverpool have more goals than them. Oh, nope, never mind. City just overtook them too, so they're third though. That's like insane. They've been scoring. They can't win. All those injuries on defense hurting them. Lastly, before we move off of transfers, I wanted to ask you guys a question. When it comes to transfers, how big of a leash do you think players should get after being purchased? And what are the biggest factors that you think contribute to it? To like the size of the leash. David, you go first.
Oof. I think it depends on the situation on the club, like where they are, like on the table, and what are they fighting for, and like what expectations the manager has for that player. So, like for example, Nicholas Fulkrug from West Ham, they brought him in because he thought they were going to do like insanely good after the Euros.
I thought too.
Yeah, but they brought him up just so I think West Ham, what they wanted was like a little European competition. That's what they wanted to be. But obviously, West Ham hasn't been performing like they used to. And I think that's one of the biggest factors that you buy players on like how good they are playing, and then how can they help your team, and how can. That's what I think.
Fair. Alex?
For me, it depends. If they stay in the same league, then I expect them to perform quickly. But if they have to move abroad and learn a new language and know a new playing style, then I'll give them a longer leash, like probably like 3 or 4 months. But if they stay in the same league, I think they should perform right away. If they jump to a bigger club.
Okay. I wanted to go last because I have a pretty big answer, I guess, or detailed, I guess. I think I'm definitely. I know I'm definitely in the minority with this because I think a lot of fans are definitely impatient. Because like I think even Alex saying 3 to 4 months, like a lot of fans would think that's too much time. But I think personally, maybe it's because it's like my NFL fan mindset where you got to give players like a year or two. To me, I think a year at least for most transfers, unless it's like a 60, 70 plus $1 million transfer, then the expectations are a little high. Like for me, my biggest factors when it comes to determining it are the price, their wages, their age, and their previous club. Because if they come from a team that's like Alex said, from another country where they speak a different language, and the team plays like they play like a 5-3-2-1 or something like that, and you're moving to a 3-4-2-1, or going from a 4-3-3 to one of the others. Like it does change it, especially for like maybe like a fullback. They could be asked to attack more or defend more, and they got to adjust to that. And maybe they're used to like running up and passing, but now they're expected to stay back and get passes towards the middle. And like their age too. Like if you're buying a 21-year-old, you should probably give them a little bit of a bigger leash compared to like buying like a 29-year-old, someone that's like in their prime. And if you're buying a player and their wages are like $15K a week, you probably shouldn't hold them to the same standard as the guy you're paying $350,000 a week. But that's me. I know I'm definitely in the minority, but I think the bigger the leash is typically the better because it puts less stress and like pressure on a player. And I think City are really good at that. Well, they'll buy players and they're not like Marmoush. they're happy with whatever he does. Like they're not like, hey man, like we need fucking 30 goals already. Like, and Nico Gonzalez, like I mentioned him earlier, I thought about putting him in the flop because he's only played 8 games since they got him, like including cups. But like, there's no pressure on him to perform right away, and I think City are good at that. Moving on to the last topic, we are picking our Balon D'Or winners, and we're going to be talking about who and what goes into the decisions. I'll lead it off. Who do I think should win it? Rafinha. I think Rafinha is the easy choice, mainly because of his European success, but also his league success and cup success too. But I also think what helped boost him up is Salah and Liverpool's failure to do good in Europe and in cup competitions. They dominated the league, but they did all right in cups, and they did not do good in the Champions League. David, who's your pick?
I'm gonna say top three because my number one is Rafinha.
Fair. Mine too is Salah.
Because. Ooh, okay. My number two is actually Dembele.
That's a good shout. Okay.
And my number three is Yamal, in case if they do win all 3 trophies, and yeah, that's my order.
Okay, yeah, Dembele has some pretty impressive stats, and they are doing good in the Champions League. Okay, David, I'm not David. Sorry, Alex.
He took Dembele. I was gonna choose Dembele,
Okay.
but I still think what Salah has done. I think he should be able to win because he's breaking the most involvement in the league with goals and assists. So I think there's still a case for him to be Balon D'Or winner.
I understand that. Yeah,
and he's playing in one of the hardest leagues in the world. So
I think that's fair. By the way, David did not choose Dembele. He said Dembele was his third. He agreed with me with Rafinha. Hold on, let me just give myself a little more light. What do you guys? What matters more, performance in the European competition or league performance? I think both matter, but I do think about whoever is the one that votes on the Balon d'Or. Pretty, how do I say it? They weigh in the European and international competitions a lot more. Now, there's not an international competition this time, but like, I'm not trying to catch heat, but like when Messi won the Balon d'Or just for winning it for Argentina, like I get it, but I do think it was weighed in a little heavy. But they do that for the Euros and Copa America and other shit too, so I get it. Alex?
I agree with you if there was an international competition, but since there's no one, I think the really important is Champions League. Because depending on the league, it might not be as difficult, and Champions League, it's the Europe's best. So that's what I would think.
David?
Yeah, like Alex said, this is a new format of Champions League, so I think this season is for sure mostly European competition, but a little bit of domestic as well. So that's what I think.
I just realized when we were talking about the Champions League, I forgot that question. So we'll do it right now. Do you guys like this new format more, the group play instead of like individual groups? I personally do. I found it more enjoyable.
I don't know.
I like it more because bigger teams played each other more instead of like having a group with like 2 giants beating up on like Genk and fucking some Ukrainian team. That's why I like it more. I do think a lot of people don't like it too much because it's new and people don't really like change. But I think after a couple of years, I think this will become more praised. Quickly, side question. Do you guys think it's European competition in general, or do you think it's a Champions League? Like, let me put a hypothetical. Let's say Salah has his stats from the season, as he currently does, but he's playing in the Europa League, and he has like 12 goals and 9 assists in that also, and then Liverpool end up winning the Europa League. Do you think they'd put that in there, or do you think like the Balon D'Or, they're like, oh, Europa League? No, thank you. Because it is still a European competition.
Yes.
No, I don't think they care as much for Europa League. And plus, they usually give more opportunities to the other countries in different leagues. Like, for example, what's that one Denmark club that's facing Spurs? For example, them if they beat them in semifinals, it doesn't really matter.
Fair. But then what if they pull the upset and beat Tottenham? Does that make Tottenham look bad, or does that make them look good?
No, it makes Spurs look bad.
Fair. And I don't know, that was the last question. Does the level of competition matter, or no, just the performance? You answered that. Well, I think that pretty much covers it.